everybody, welcome to my channel. Today's video is a requested video and I'm going to be showing you how to make a diorama card similar to this one here. Now this one I made as part of the inspiration for the Midnight Flight release. This is by Craft Consortium and it was a really gorgeous collection to play with. When I showed this on my project share video, a few people asked me how I had made it, so I'm going to be showing you today. For today's video, I'm actually going to be using the new release from Craft Consortium. This was illustrated by Clare Therese and it's in the forest. It's stunning and I'm so in love with this collection that this was a great excuse to get it out and play with it. If you are following along because you've got this collection and you wanted some inspiration, I'm going to be using this page here with the 3 different scene sections. But if you don't have this collection, you'll still be able to follow along. Just use whatever you have. I will also be using a set of nesting dies. I'm going to use the Decoupage kit because I really like these extra little animals and things, so I'm going to use a few of those, and I'm going to use this glitter card. Again, this is Craft Consortium. This is the Always and Forever range and this is in the shade Lilac. This concept card was by no means my own idea. These have been around for quite a while and I actually discovered a video by Linda Delkey, I think she's called. She's an Australian Stampin' Up demonstrator and I found her on YouTube one day, and that's kind of how I got into making these, and then I've just kind of evolved it as I've gone really. I will leave all the measurements and score lines that you need for today's card in a blog post which will be linked in the description box of this video, and that way you don't need to sit there furiously writing with a pen. And you can just enjoy the video. Now the first thing we're going to do is make our base. So I have 2 pieces of cardstock which I have written F and B on for the purpose of this video. They're also described on my blog post as NF, F and B, so then we all know where we are. Now there's not much scoring to this card, but we're going to get the 2 pieces that are the same length and score at 2 inches from one end and 2 inches from the other end. We're going to do that on both pieces of cardstock, just like that. And then we need to do the middle section. So that's the smaller piece of card. Again, I've written M for middle on this. And we're going to score this one at 1 inch from each end. That is all the scoring that we need to do for this card. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start working on the front piece. So here's my front piece. We're going to bring in the rest of the elements for the front. So we have the glitter card and we have our scenery piece. And all we're going to do is we're going to adhere these to the front of the card. Now if you're using the scene piece that I am, just think about placement and where you want bits to go. So I was very careful about how I trimmed down the cottage because I wanted it to follow around for continuity, so I trimmed the scene strip accordingly. But you may not be worried about where your house actually goes. So let's get this stuck down and then I'll be back. This is what you should now have. So we've got the front of the card all adhered down. Now the reason we're doing this one first is because we need all the glue to be dry, because we're going to be cutting an aperture into the front. So always start with the front and leave it to dry. We're going to move on to the middle section now because again we're going to be cutting an aperture in this one as well. So we're going to bring in our glitter card and our DSP. This one here is just the reverse of one of the scenes and I've cut it to size. We're going to adhere this down and then I will be right back. That's the middle piece done. We've got nice even borders all around those ones, and now we can move on to the back piece. Now this one we will not be cutting into, so that's why we left it till last, to give the glue on the other 2 a chance to dry. Now I have personally only cut one piece of glitter card and some DSP, which will be going in the centre. That's because you don't really see the inside pieces on the back piece, but if you wanted to decorate them just for your peace of mind, you absolutely could. So let me get this stuck down and then I'll be right back to you. There we have it. We have our front panel, our middle panel and our rear panel all ready to go. I'm going to now bring in my nesting dies. Now you can use any shape you like to do this. I normally use ovals or squares for this, but I thought today, just for something different, I'd use these wavy ones. And I'm going to be using the 3 largest ones. And the ones I'm going to be cutting into the cardstock with are actually the 2nd and 3rd largest. So we'll keep this to one side because this is going to be used to make a frame in a short while. So we can move our rear scene out of the way for now. And we're also going to put our middle panel to one side. And we're going to be working on the front panel first of all. So let's grab the biggest of the 2 we have left, and we're going to be using this to cut an aperture in the front of the card. So we're just going to place this roughly where we want it to go, and then I'm going to use some really well used washi tape to hold this in place while I run it through my die cut machine. I'm using washi tape that's been well used because it's lost a lot of the stick, but it's got enough that it will hold it in place. What I don't want to do is use something really sticky that's going to rip some of my patterned paper. So let me run that through my Big Shot and I'll come straight back to you. There we go, that's cut out the initial aperture, so we can now put this to one side. And we're going to be using the smaller of the 2 nesting dies. Now before you go any further, a good thing would be to fold and burnish your score lines on the front panel and the middle panel. So the front panel folds down, like so, and the middle panel is also going to fold down, like so. And now we're going to line them up by matching up the score lines. Then we can be sure we've got it perfectly centered. Once you know you've got it perfectly centered, you're able to bring in your smaller of the 2 nesting dies and line it up in the center where you want to make your next cut. So I think I'm going to do mine just there and get rid of the larger front panel, and we can run this through our die cut machine. So let me do that and I'll come straight back to you. And there we have it. We have our middle panel with the aperture cut out, so we can put this to one side again. The next thing I'm going to do is cut 2 frames to go over the apertures that I've just cut. For this I'm going to use the glitter card because I think it will tie the card together nicely, and it does feature throughout the card. Now this isn't a step you have to follow, this is just my personal preference. I really like to have frames around the apertures, but if you don't want to make frames you can just skip ahead to the next step. So for the front aperture I have cut a piece of glitter card, and then I have the largest frame and the 2nd largest frame, which I will layer together like so and run through the die cut machine to give me my frame. So let me do that and I'll be back. So that's my first frame cut. Now with the offcut from creating that frame, I can use my smallest nesting die to make the next frame. And there we go, there's the frame which will go around the middle section, and that's all that I have left over, which I can now put in my offcut box and use on another project. So let's get these 2 frames adhered into place and then we'll move on. Okay, so that is our frames adhered into place. Now it's time to bring back our back piece. It's time to fold and burnish our score lines, and this time we are going to fold them up so they face inwards. So let's burnish those. Okay, and we're going to start assembling the card now. So the base of the card will be like so. The middle section is going to sit into the back section, just like that. And then the front section is going to hold it all together and wrap around like that. So let's get some glue. You could use tape if you wanted to. I'm just using glue for now. I'm going to be adding my glue onto this section of the flaps. So let me put you on high speed while I do that. Now, as you can see, I haven't gone all the way to the edges because as I press this into place, the glue is going to start moving around on its own and I don't really want it escaping. So that's why I've only put glue in the middle section really. So let's put this into place. So we are going to be placing these flaps into the grooves of these score lines here. Making sure we're nice and central and closing the sides of the back piece around it. And then we're just going to hold that in place while the glue takes. I have these bulldog clips that I'm going to bring in just to help me out. So we just make sure we're butted right up. And it still moves. You still want to be able to close this down nice and flush for posting. So just making sure it's moving. I'll hold it in place with a couple of pegs. You can already see how this is taking shape. It's going to look absolutely beautiful when it's done. While that is drying, I'm going to add some glue onto these panels here. Let's take our clips off. This glue that I'm using does dry quite quick, so it's really good. And making sure we have everything the right way up, we're going to fold the flaps down and slide it onto the other two pieces, making sure we're as flush as we can be. And we still want it to be able to move so we can post it. See the glue easing out, so we just wipe that off. Once we're happy, we can hold those in place with bulldog clips. You don't have to hold them in place with bulldog clips. Just saves me having to sit and hold it with my hands. Because I want to start looking at my decoration pieces while this is drying. So I think that's looking really, really lovely, but it does need some decoration. So while that's drying, I'm going to grab my decoupage kit and I'm going to start looking at which of these little characters I want to use to decorate the card. So I've grabbed my character sheets out, but it's also worth noting that 3 of the decoupage sheets have extra pieces on. So this one with all of the little animals cuddled up having a snooze has this bird as an extra piece. This sheet with them cuddled in while the bear has a look at what's going on has a mushroom as an extra piece. And this one, with them all snuggled up by the log, has a mushroom and some foliage as an extra piece. So that's a really nice touch, and just a way to make these kits go even further if you'd used a load of these up already, because you could raid these sheets to add to your card if you wanted to. These are the images and characters I've chosen from the Decoupage Extras sheet. I think this is going to look absolutely beautiful when it's all adhered down. So let's put you on high speed while I stick these down, and then I'll be straight back to you. So that's all now stuck down, and I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty beautiful. So all we need to do now is sort out somewhere for a sentiment and greeting to go. So we're going to go to the back, and I have cut down a piece of glitter card which we can attach here, and I also have some white cardstock which we're going to lay over the top. Now before we do that, I'm going to actually stamp the sentiment. So I'm going to bring in my stamping platform. And the reason I am doing this now is because I just think it will be easier to stamp the sentiment now rather than trying to squish the card in a platform or under an acrylic block. And I've picked out this apple blossom set from my stash, which I think I'm going to use for the sentiment. And I think I'm actually going to use friend, such a simple word for one of the great necessities of life, because I think it will fill that space really nicely. And I also think this complements the collection nicely, because one of the stamp sets is actually called Friendship. Move these out of the way. So I'm going to use a VersaFine ink to stamp on this with, and then I have a small hack for you. So the latest craze that I've seen this year was something called a chucky to rub across the top of your platform to help you get a good impression. And I've seen these going from anything from £5 to £25, which I think is a little bit crazy, because I have a Yankee candle top here. This is just off one of the big Yankee candles, not linked or associated with Yankee candle, just to put it out there. This is just what I use. If you turn it so the domed part is on your platform, and then just gently apply pressure and rub, this does exactly the same as those really expensive chuckies. Now I think I paid about £7 for my Yankee candle. It's still going, I've had it for years, it just seems to go on and on and on, and now I have an extra use for the lid. So my apologies for any shaking. Well, it just goes to show you don't need to spend a lot of money to get something that can help you. There we go. So there's our sentiment stamped. Right, I'm going to get this all adhered to the card, and then I'll be back. And there you have it. The finished card. Isn't that delightful? I absolutely love it. Now this collection did come with bear charms, so if you were wanting to suspend them from the top of the card like I'd done with the butterfly charms on the previous card, all you would need to do is attach the bear charms to some really thin thread, and then you suspend them from the top part of the card using double-sided tape or similar, and then all you need to do is, using an offcut of the base colour card, is cover over the twine, and then nobody will see it. And that's how I suspended them on the last card. But this is my diorama card using in the forest. I think it's come out beautifully. I love the continuation. I love the scene looking through, and I think it's come out beautifully. Let me know what you think. Do you like this one? Are you going to give it a go? If you do, I'd love a tag on social media. My socials are always in the description box of the video. And if you have got this collection or any other Craft Consortium collection, if you're not already part of it, there is a Facebook group called Craft Consortium Network where you can join and share your Craft Consortium makes. It's full of inspiration from the design team and other members, and it's a really friendly and supportive group to be a part of. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you're not already subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button and help my channel grow. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a massive thumbs up button for me, and I will be back soon with more videos. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are all well, and until next time, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.